Rate. Just a quick comment on that last part of the story. He said he'd never have a guinea. Well, okay, he's in Florida and it's wintertime for them, and maybe they've never had ticks or chiggers, but I'm telling you, guineas are phenomenal. They're loud, but once you get used to them, it's like beautiful music because it's the sound. It's like the pigs smell like money. Well, guineas sound like living in a tick-free environment. So it's a beautiful sound to most of us. And the other is geese. Geese are the best watchdogs. I mean, they're a fabulous alarm system, especially if you have a lot of them. But Bill and Shirley have a couple, and they were good enough that I was to the point where I could walk by them from my trailer down to the cabin for water or whatever, get water out of the faucet because I didn't have any running water up there, and not have they knew it was me. I was quiet. I didn't irritate them, but they knew it was me. So anybody else, they would have raised a ruckus and they could hear it in the cabin. So good alarm system, very good alarm system. All right, Christmas part 2. Heather eyed the pig suspiciously and asked, "Do you really think we can make money from raising and selling pigs and geese?" Brittany spoke up and said, "Well, I used to make money with my rabbits. Oh, it was never a lot, but I paid for all of my expenses and had enough left over to pay my own way to Disney World last year when my church group went. Probably could have made more, but my daddy, wouldn't let me keep more. I've never raised pigs, but I've seen what goslings sell for, and they go for a lot. Mary Beth at church used to decorate eggs, not Easter eggs, but really fancy decorations on blown eggs. She called it paisanki or something like that. She used goose eggs, and she paid over $1 a piece for them. That's what a whole dozen chicken eggs used to bring." The $1 a dozen for chicken eggs versus, $1 per egg. "Daddy paid $50 a piece for our 2 feeder pigs last year," Melinda explained. "That was before the impact, so I'm not sure what they'll bring now. But if we can find a way to feed the sows until they litter, I'll be willing to bet feeders would bring a good price. If you pasture them, they do the way we do, pigs aren't a lot of work, really. While the weather's really cold, we'll have to keep them in the barn more, so we'll have to muck out their stall when it needs it, but that and feeding them is about all we'll have to do. Come spring, the heavy work will be a lot less. I bet we can use the buttermilk and cheese way to mix with their corn, maybe any leftover skim milk, too." The older girl shrugged her shoulders and decided to accept the situation. "Well, maybe we will make some money from it. Mama and Daddy seem to be on a real kick for me to have a farm life, like Mama had when she was a girl. At least it'll give me a reason to come over and see you guys a lot." "Will you and Aunt Lisa be moving back home soon?" Melinda asked. "Well, maybe not really soon, but Dad's got workmen repairing the house. The looters did a lot of damage, but Dad says the house is still basically sound. He thinks they'll have it repaired before long, but the contractor's having a hard time getting materials, so he can't say for sure when he'll be done. I'm not sure if we'll actually move back or not. Daddy and Mama are dead set on selling the place and moving out here somewhere as soon as they can." "I hope it'll be somewhere close by," Brittany said. "I'd miss you if you moved that far away. Maybe your parents will buy my parents' house, my house now, I guess. Though with your dad being a doctor and all, it might be too small." "Don't you want to move back into your house, Britt?" Melinda asked. "Well, no, not really, not with Mama. Well, not after what happened and all. I'm not sure what's going to become of it, though. Uncle John said he figures it's going to come to me, but the court has to decide. He's trying to get me a guardian ad litem or some such to speak for me to help me get everything straightened out. I told him I'd rather have him speak for me, but he said some people might think there was a conflicting interest, and it would be better that someone who wasn't responsible for me to speak for me so that no one would think that he tried to take advantage of me. Aunt Ann and Aunt Lisa have been trying to get in contact with my Uncle Joe and Aunt Sarah in Maryland, but they haven't been able to reach them. Uncle John said he'd try to have the sheriff contact them, but I haven't heard anything if anything's come of that or not." Brittany looked unhappy at the recollection of her vanished family, leading the other girls to cast about for something to distract her. "Maybe Mom and Dad would buy your house," Heather said. "Then you'd have a lot of money to go to college with. Mom always complained about how long it took to pay off Dad's student loans. You could go to college and not have to take any loans." "Me? Go to college?" Brittany asked incredulously. "Nobody in my family ever went to college, I don't think." Heather shook her head with a rueful grin. I never had a chance. Mom and Dad have always said I was going. They're always pushing me to take the most difficult classes because they said they'd be good preparation for going to college. I told them I didn't want to go, and they said, you can go to college or you can go to jail. Those are your two choices. After some of those math tests, I've wondered if going to jail would be better. Mama and Daddy said I'm going to. Daddy says that by the time I'm his age, life in America will be segregating into serfs and aristocracy, and I doggone well better be an aristocrat, which meant I had to go to college. They're always pushing me to learn math, too. College must be nothing but math and science to hear Daddy talk about it. Oh, and languages. Mom is always pestering me to learn some language or other. Your parents are mighty particular about schoolwork, Brittany observed, and Anna's a lot pushier about it than my parents were. I kind of like it, but in a way it's hard sometimes. I'm 2 years older than you, but you're doing the same math and English work that I am. Do you really think I can go to college? Melinda said proudly, Daddy says that anyone who really applies themselves can go to college. Then he really leans on you to get your work done. He keeps saying that self-discipline is the only discipline, but he seems handy with it if I slack off. Brittany said, he seems like he doesn't much care to me other than encouraging us to do our work. That's because he's been so busy these last few months, Mel explained. When things start to slow down, he'll drag us all into one thing or another after another. He's big on what he calls practical everyday problems. By this he means making you do all the thinking around the place, and he just checks behind you to make sure you haven't made a mistake. This year I had to figure all the feed formulas, how much of what to mix together to get the right proportions. Then I had to figure out how much per day per animal we should feed. Then had to figure out how much we should buy per animal and had to divide that by how much we should store. He showed me how to do it all, then checked my work. When I had it all figured out, he took me to the feed mill and had me explain it all to the miller and make our orders. It tickled him so much that he brought his wife and 2 sons out. I think they were a bit older, and he asked me to explain it all again. When I did, he looked at them and said, How come you two can't do that? I was kind of embarrassed, but Daddy just sort of grinned like he does sometimes when I make him proud. Then we stopped in town on the way back, and he bought me this huge banana split. I was pretty proud, too, because the miller said he couldn't find any mistakes in my figuring. Heather said, well, it's got to beat doing word problems out of a textbook. I bet we could do all sorts of school problems in the kitchen. I wonder why I didn't think of that. I was kind of surprised that Mama and Daddy didn't have us doing that already, Mel said. Mama makes me do all kinds of math problems in the kitchen. Maybe she's gone all week and Daddy works outside of the house so much. With the weather going like it is, I bet that won't last, though. Before the impact, it seemed like I spent as much time with a pencil and paper in the kitchen as I did with the mixing bowl. And no calculators either. Daddy says if you can't do it on paper with a pencil, then you don't know how to do it. Mama thinks that's old-fashioned, but she won't buck him. I had to do the paper planning for the garden this year, too. But many of what we want... Oh, that was a lightning bug. But many of what we wanted to plant, how much space per plant, which determined how many rows. They had to figure out how to plant everything so nothing would shade something else and how to make rotations and all that. It was kind of hard, but fun all the same time. Daddy and I went through books and stuff from the Extension Service, and we talked to the county agent. Daddy says he's getting old and his brain don't work too well anymore. But it's really just his way of teaching me stuff and trying to make it fun, too. I like it because we get to spend time together instead of him being outside by himself and me stuck at the kitchen table. Heather turned and looked at the pigs once more. Well, if nothing else, when we finally do get to college, I suppose we can major in agriculture. We'll certainly have a lot of experience by the time we get there. All right. God bless everybody. Thank you. Bugs is a little bit buggy out here. Yeah, a lightning bug landed on me, and I brushed it off, and then it lit up after I did it. I don't think I killed it. All right, good night. Bye-bye. Come on.